Welcome back to Live from Redhook here at the Function House. I'm Mike Gentile, along here with Anthony Vitale. And tonight we welcome to the show the one and only DJ Theo.
Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
Welcome down.
I took my long voyage out on the island. You know, on Long Island, how long it is?
No traffic getting here,
A
right?
little bit of traffic, but we were good to go.
Would you take you like 3 hours to get here?
It took me a good chunk of hours to get here, yeah.
So
I did try to start. It's that mentality, that island, like, let me start earlier.
What was...
You know what I wanted to go to, actually? I was dying to go in this area. I've asked everybody from Brooklyn, from Fuccio in the back on out, have you ever been to the pharmacy ice cream parlor down there?
It's really good.
That I heard is banging, but nobody goes there in Brooklyn because it seems like it's not the easiest spot to go to.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm gonna come here early. I'm gonna get us all shakes. It's gonna be great.
So I get the impression it's your first time here in Redhook.
And you know what? I used to come here. I used to have a friend of mine, a cool friend, that lived right here. I used to have to walk here off the ferry to get near where she worked.
Yeah.
She works for Live Nation now, but yeah, it's amazing how this whole area. I mean, if you were out and about, right, in the early 80s, you know, and early 90s, in any of the boroughs, well, the boroughs like, you know, Brooklyn, let's just say Brooklyn and Manhattan.
Yep.
It's amazing how different
Oh,
it
it's
is.
so
Serious
You know, I mean,
transformation.
at night it was kind of
You
rough.
couldn't walk around here after
I mean,
like
70s
2
were
o'clock in the
rougher, but
afternoon.
I mean, you know, our era was like, you didn't think it might be as bad, but it was bad. You know?
So tell us a little about yourself. You're from Long Island.
Yeah, from Long Island, born
and
and bred.
raised.
I was on the South Shore, East Islip, and I lived out there, and then I went to school up in Rhode Island. When I graduated, that's how I got into actually radio. I actually still have. I got my my license, which the FCC license, which you don't even get anymore to be on the air. I got my license when I was there, and you know, I was always into music a lot. I was lucky to grow up. LAR was on the island.
Yep.
And there's a lot of shows now about how many mix shows we had in our area.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, and that's why I guess I always feel that I have such a...
Can you use this too?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I feel like I have such an affinity to mix show because mix show meant so much to me. You know, I would listen to Red Alert, Silva D, you know, Kid Capri had his shows, all these guys. Flex was at the tail end, but more, you know, in that late 80s era, growing up into 90s when I went away to college. So when I went away, I wanted to DJ and stuff, but for some reason, unlike all these great stories I hear where there was guys around them that actually had stuff, when I was graduating, going into college, like gonna get ready to go away, there was a guy on the island, Tom Rock, really big,
Yep.
great DJ.
Yep.
Like I'd say my mentor. And I saw him at a party, and he was playing like everything that I was into. And in the sense of like, we grew up in an area where we were into alternative, we were into hip hop, we were into reggae. You know, if you were either into that, or I guess you were into the other stuff, which I really wasn't into, which was like freestyle and that kind of stuff. I just wasn't really a big fan of it.
So what year was this?
So this is like, I'd say, early like 1991.
Okay.
That's when I saw him, and then I went away up to Rhode Island.
Yep.
And when I was up there, you know, I wanted to get involved in the radio station, and the station was like a rock station. So I was like, oh, I want to have like an alternative show. Like, what's alternative? And you know, they're looking at me like I had like whole, and I'm just thinking like, oh, I'm from New York. I didn't think anything of it. And I got in there with them, did whatever I could to get involved, and started like practicing at night. And the dumbest thing is that I never really knew. Like at my house, like I'd had the turntable that was with the thing, but I didn't understand the concept of the slip mat and everything. How dumb that, no, so I was like scratching and ruining records and stuff and not really getting it, you know what I mean? And I'll be honest, I had no idea.
So wait, you had the rubber mat?
I had the rubber mat and was like, and then so I would go there at night and they had their turntable, like any good station back in the day would have a turntable set up.
Yeah.
You know, and a board.
Sure.
So they had turntables and a board, and I'm like, something is not right. And ironically, there was a guy on one of the other floors, and I went to a party once, and I saw that he was DJing. I'm like, oh my God, yo, I really want to like know more about this. You know, I like followed it. For some reason, I just didn't have enough DJs around me. And I saw what he had. So it's like the next night, I went over to the studio. They didn't have mats or anything, but I found paper and would stack up. You know, like back in the day, the 12-inch cover, the 12 inches would have full whites, not the white with the hole.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I would get as many as I could. So there was like flow, you know, cut them and put a hole in them and then practice. So I had the gist of it a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, but try and do that on a 8-channel board, radio channel board, like an idiot with a technique over here and a technique over there, not even battle style, you know, because you're like, you know, just getting into it. So it's funny because when I think about it, it's like, you know, you had all these loopholes to go through, but you know, it was funny that my step into, you know, really trying to DJ, because I was always collecting music. I felt like I was always buying some CDs were, you know, new, and like, let's see, 86, 87 when CDs really came out hot, right?
Yeah, 88 probably, yeah.
Like around, 87, 88, maybe I'm wrong with 86, 87, 88. So there was a place out on the island called Uncle Phil.
I think we're off with the numbers with CDs.
Maybe.
I think it was more like 92, 93 CDs.
No. I know because I was like at high school
I was in junior high school.
I mean, I guess I might have been ahead of the curve.
I think it was about 88,
but it was like
89.
the biggest thing to me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I only know because Amy Whitehouse had a party that night. And I didn't want to go to her party because I wanted to play the CDs I bought from Uncle Phil's, because Uncle Phil's used to get the imports in LIR.
Uncle Phil's was
a place in Nassau, deep in Nassau, that had, to me, an extensive CD collection of stuff that LIR would play. And since LIR wasn't your average music, you know, they would get like 4 or 5 copies and then boom, it'd be out. So
you went from vinyl to CD.
No. I'm saying before I went away to school, I was already collecting a collection of CDs and stuff.
Okay.
And vinyl. I would buy vinyl. Like, I remember I went to Modell's in Bay Shore and had them order NWA in 86, 87. They had no idea what I was talking about. I had a friend that played ball, and we met him over the summer, and he's like, he played me this tape, and I was like, what the fuck? What?
You can curse.
Yeah, you can
I'm
curse.
like, what the fuck is this? Like, you know, you're a white cat playing b-ball.
Damn
and
right
I had
you
no
can
idea
fucking
what that
curse.
was. That sound to me was like, oh my God. You know, so I had them order it for me. And I remember it came in, you know, I'm walking into Modell's. You know, back then, you know, a lot of stores had record things, you know, TSS and Record World. And I'm a young one, you know, 15, 16, you know, buying these records and asking them to order hip-hop records. And, you know, the people there had no idea what I was talking
they were
about. But I started building a collection. The thing was I only had a stereo at my house. And I started to get into, like, the Radio Shack mixer and timing, you know, like timing a mix. So I'd bring the mix in the car, but my mix would be all about timing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it was so tacky.
So
but
you
that's
had the
what did.
Realistic, that was the name of it. Realistic was the brand from Radio Shack.
Exactly.
Right?
It was the Realistic mixer.
Yeah.
And then I'd have like a tape deck and a CD player and like my turn, you know, but so it's funny, it all came strong when I went away. And then this guy, Tom Maroc, that I was kind of friends with, I remembered to myself, when I come home summer break, I'm going to find this guy, Tom Maroc, that all my boys knew. We were part of like a whole surfing, skate crew. Like, that's the kind of vibe I grew up in. And I was like, yo, you got to get me in touch with that Tom Maroc guy. So I came back home over the break, met him. He took me down to Canal Street. I got a Scratchmaster. Gemini Scratchmaster.
Add him to the list.
And I went to the Wiz and got turntables. And even back then, I think the turntables ran me $400 a piece, like $388. It wasn't cheap.
So you were buying Techniques out the box?
I bought Techniques out the box. So I started on Techniques now.
Look at you.
Because that was the one thing he said.
What were you doing up in school?
Yo, we got into this gambling ring, these guys up there, because I was playing the cards. And like, thank God I didn't get deep. These guys all got arrested, but I was good. But did I turn this off?
No, you're good.
So so he bought me the things, and then I really got into it. So going away, when I'm coming back now, I knew what I wanted to do. You know, I knew like now how to start practicing. I didn't bring my turntables up there, but you know, I would practice when I came home, and was really into it. So my second year up in Rhode Island, I knew it wasn't the right place for me. Like I always.
There probably was no other DJs around, right?
But also, I went to school to get an accounting degree because I had family that worked for Island Records, and they always told me if you want to go into a record label, which they were right, be an accountant or an economics degree, go in, and you'll be able to have more pull. Being an A&R is really tough. Like, you really have to kind of know someone to discover you. And coming from where you are, out on Long Island, they're not going to really listen to you, that kind of thing. So coming back home, so going back there, I knew I probably wasn't going to go back. So the sad thing about up there, being that it was a rock station more, they were getting rid of stuff and like throwing stuff out. So I started to say, okay, I need to start, you know, taking stuff. So I started amassing this collection because they weren't playing any hip hop, any reggae. They had an old dance hall.
I'm sorry about the
They had an old dance hall collection and stuff, and it was all stuff I was into. So to me, I was like, I'm just such a record head. I would spend this is now when my studies started going south. And every night I would spend from after eating, I'd sneak there late because they gave me the keys and everything. I was like a part of the station, but I would rummage through the whole library, and we had a huge library there. But stuff that they didn't even care. Like there were bins and bins of stuff they were just gonna junk. And I was like, I take this and take this, but I didn't want to abuse it. So every night I would do this ritual of staying up late, collecting stuff and bringing it back to my room, staying up late. So I had to find a way to bring this stuff back holiday breaks. And I'd be begging my roommates like, please take your car back. We got to take this stuff out of here, you know, because I just knew I wasn't going to be able to get it. You know what I mean? And I knew I'd get a jump on my collection because I knew I was going to stay home.
So how many records or stuff were you
I probably,
sifting in that?
like several hundred records from them, maybe 1,000 I took from them. You know what I mean?
Do you still have these records?
Yeah, and some still say property of, I won't say the station in case I get but you know, but some they were going to throw out. So they really were throwing out the hip hop. Like it would be like, I walked into the station one day where there was, LFO was at the time, Tommy Boy.
Yep.
And the label, they were in the garbage. And I was like, you know, I didn't really know. And I looked at it, I'm like, oh, I know LFO, I like those guys. You know what I mean? I was like, why is this in the garbage? Like, oh, we don't play that crap. And I'm like, okay, like just note to myself, like, you know, I didn't think anything of it, but once I get in there, I'm like, wait, let me start taking this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, especially with the hip hop.
So you must have died and went to heaven.
Oh my God, it was the best feeling ever. You know, when you know that, you have that thing. So anyway, I came back home, I transferred to Brooklyn College. I realized they had a television station and they had a radio station.
Yep.
So I was like, great, this would be so good. Well, I didn't know that when I transferred, because I transferred in the middle, so not at the main, there was a huge state disaster with the budget for Cooney schools. So the day I walked in, like I got my stuff.
They shut it down.
TV station they shut down, and the radio
they
station.
got word that Theo was sifting records.
And the radio station became just on the campus, and I was like I was crushed kind of because I kind of had a good thing up there. I know my parents were paying way more, but I was like, this is a disaster. Like I left to come here, you know, and I'm driving all the way out from the island, and I was staying out in Brooklyn for a little bit too. I had family out there, so I was staying there, but it was weird. And what I think the thing that broke the camel's back was that's when Protect Your Neck came out on the streets on tape, and I was by then I was friends with Tom Maroc, kind of doing some mobile stuff, but I got out of that. I didn't like that at all, and we called up Mookie, who was the manager on the tape. And I said, yo, I'm at Brooklyn College. I met the newspaper there. I want to write an article about, you know, I want to write an article about you. There was also a dope magazine from San Diego called Straight from the Lip. And we were going to write an article from them and put it out there and talk about this group. Because we thought that just from hearing Protect Your Neck, we just knew it was something.
Yeah.
You know, to me, it was like Live at the Barbecue, you know, 1992 or whatever. At the time when the tape was out, not when they got signed anyway. So we called them up. They invited us out to the 36 Chambers. So we went out there with we used to film everything back then, like on our little VHS, you know? Yep. So I have this whole interview.
You should have brought it with you.
Yeah. Should have, but it's like I'm waiting to sell it one day. I'm like trying to prep it up. But I had this interview of Raekwon, Ghostface. That's when Ghostface was Ghostface, didn't want to be on TV. You God. Only person who was there was Old Dirty Bastard, Method Man, all of them. And we filmed this interview with them. So I went back to Brooklyn with this like, yo, these are these guys, I met them, their stuff is great, blah, 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 blah. I had a whole thing, you know, written out. They looked at me like I was like an idiot. Like, you know, first was like, what do you know, white boy, about, you know, hip hop? And, you know, I really didn't know what to say. I wasn't going to be confrontational, you know, but I said, these guys are going to be something like, trust me, I know music, like I'm really up on this, you know, you go out and about now. My boy was dragging me to Nell's at that time, you know, I was going to all the spots, and I just said, these guys are going to be something. Like, you should run this article. Or, hey, we'll do it together, whatever. They're like, listen, get out of here. You're just here. You don't know anything, whatever.
Wow.
So that was probably the day I was the most depressed at Brooklyn College. I just decided, I was like, I'm dropping out. This wasn't for me. You know, and then,
They didn't run the article?
Yeah. No, they didn't run the article. They didn't run the article. But it was like, years later, I was like over by there, and I'm like, I should walk in there and say, like, you guys knew what you lost. But Straight from the Lip ran the article. But the point is that, you know, it was always like that position. I felt like I always felt like, and that, like, it started it, where I was always not in the wrong spot, but had the right intentions, you know, but not the right thing. Because then I floundered a little bit. I was repping a clothesline because I was always into clothing. My friends were always into clothing. My boy out on the island, Don Boswell, created Pervert Clothing, which was a big line back in the day. Yep. That's when we met Rick Klotz and the Fresh Jive guys. Before Jive became Fresh Jive, before Jive, it was Fresh Jive. Yep. And that's when Union was downtown.
You know, so it was like that whole world of, to me, surf, skate, and music, and that kind of music of hip hop, alternative, and then the beginnings of techno. Because my boys were starting to get into that rave stuff. Like Adam X was down there by Avenue U.
Yep.
So when I was going to
Yeah.
school, I was part of that.
Groove Records.
Yeah. So like, that's how I grew up into that world. Like, whereas I feel like, you know, I talked to Glenn Fisher. His story is, well, he's older than me, but you know what I mean. There's a lot of guys that grew up in the mobile world to, I don't want to say like Guido clubs, like that kind of club era, you know, and we're around guys playing like that and going to Chevys and stuff. I wasn't. I was kind of like in this other kind of world, and I don't know, you know, it was kind of weird. But
So what are you doing now? Talk to us about what you're doing
okay,
now.
so all that, I'm actually, so I'm out on the island, do my thing, get out in Neptune, start a residency, build some hype, started getting involved in radio. Vic Latino was the one to ask me to start doing Party 105.
Yep.
I was doing some BLI stuff, doing LIR stuff, and then I got involved in the radio station. Became MD, became AMD, became mix show coordinator, then AMD, then I was the MD of the station.
Okay.
Was there for 3.5 years,
Yep.
doing mix shows on both stations. Andre and I did the LIR show, which was Tri-State, and I just started building more hype for myself, trying to, and getting bigger DJ stuff. Then through Mike Weiss and Nervous, I started doing the Nervous CDs, and then just got to DJ more and everything, and then still built a relationship with the station. So now I am still on the station every week. I do a radio show every week.
When's your show on?
Shows on every Friday, 5 o'clock. So I do a drive time. The guys are cool.
It's a
They
nice
let me
slot.
play with it. It's a great slot, and because of my history, they let me play what I want. I fully respect them. You know, I try and
Well,
do
that's
the right
great to have
thing
the freedom.
to some point. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna, you know, play every tech house record I make with my boy with our side projects, but I try and fit the right ones in. But they give me that freedom, which is nice. But I try and do the right thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of
Like,
course.
there are good records.
So let's circle back.
Yeah.
Let's circle back. I think that one of the things we wanted to talk to you about, because I think that it's pretty, you know, relevant
Yeah.
in the house music scene, at least in New York and Long Island, is, you know, what you did with Neptunes.
Oh.
So, I mean, Neptunes was like a place that I know of because my brother's 10 years older than me.
Yeah.
So he used to go out to the Hamptons.
Oh yeah.
Early in the early 80s, late 80s, 90s. And Neptunes was known as like a rock beach club.
Yes.
So
I love cashing my checks, and the bankers would say, like, I go to Neptune. It's like, I'd love you to go there.
So I'm curious, like, I guess a couple of questions I have. One is, like, how did that whole thing start for you, right? Getting into Neptunes.
Yeah.
And then, you know, talk to us how you transitioned and when you felt something special was actually happening.
So it's good that I brought up the alternative thing, because that to me was always my leeway with owners of venues and having a connection. Like, older rock guys would at least identify with alternative music.
Yeah.
So Scotty Campbell owned all these Dublins, and that's why I wasn't really always down with a lot of promoters. I was working for these Dublins all on the island. Yeah, when, you know, out in the Hamptons, on the
So it
island.
was more of like a bar.
So yeah, but we were bar nightclub. I want to say we were the first. Noah and Jason used to come to us on Fridays, come in the DJ booth with us, and do things at Jaeger and party with us before they would go over to Conscious Point. And ironically, I would DJ there on Wednesdays, but it was like, they didn't come for me, like they had their own thing, you know, those guys. But they would come because they liked my boss, Scotty Campbell, and what we were doing in that kind of party vibe. We would be playing party hits and then
So that
dance
must have
records and
felt
hip hop
awesome
and
to
everything.
have them.
Yeah, but it's funny to see where they are. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
great
yeah.
to see that. But the thing is that I got left out of it the first summer when they went out to the Hamptons, and I wrote my owner like a big note, like, I can't believe you left me out. I really want to be there. So he brought me out the next summer and told Vinny Maggio and them and Dave Block, who's the thing there, yo, you got to get my guy. DJ Rick was the resident there. He's like, yo, you got to try out my boy. Trust me, you'll really like him. He knows a lot of music. Now, like you said, you guys definitely know Johnny Holiday, right? From the
Yeah.
Okay, so Johnny Holiday was the MC. There were bands there, and they would have a DJ, and you would play in between the bands. The bands would at least do 45-hour sets and 3 or 4 of them. That's how I started in '96 of summer. And I went out the week before, I was DJing, and I knew to myself, like, oh, this guy's an LIR guy. So I would play a lot of like alternative stuff, and he's like, oh my God, you know this music and everything? And I'm like, yeah, I did. Like, I liked it, but it helped because it got me in there.
Yep.
So that summer starts, I start doing that in '96. You know, and there's other music out. And at the time, I mean, I didn't get into this, but I used to do party breaks for Crush Sounds for like Flex and AV8. You know, I would do those party records. Like, you know, we would make those records. So I never had MCs with me. So those records were the best thing if you never had an MC. It was like your best friend.
Sure.
So I tried to incorporate those records while I was out there, but I always had him badgering me about the direction of the day. Like they wanted me to play stuff I didn't even know, like Band of Gold and that stuff. You ever like that? Like,
Yeah,
I didn't even, you know, and I didn't even like that stuff and didn't want to play it. So when he would come up to the booth, I would jump out and like, yo, let's get a shot, and like try to get him out. And my bartender started catching on, Noose and these guys that are like famous bartenders out there would catch wind of what I was doing. So I would get him wasted by most part of the day. So by the end of the day, when things were going good, I could get into more hip hop, some dance stuff, and starting to build it. So by the next summer, you know, I was like, we got this flow going.
Soothe them with alcohol.
And to jump to now when you said, the day was when I think it was crossing over, is Jason Ojeda came into the booth. I was playing Sneaker Pimps, middle of the afternoon, and he's like, you play this stuff here in the middle of the day? Because Jason was the resident on Sundays. And he would play everything too. We both, you know, DJs back then play everything. Even, you know, Murillo played everything, Vasquez played everything. He played, you know, at certain times. But he's like, you're getting away with this? I'm like, yeah, like, I'll play Erasure, New Order, and then I'll play Sneaker Pimps, and then I'll follow it up with, you know.
So you were sneaking records in.
Sneaking it in and trying to go more and more. But the funny thing was, is while this was going on in the short amount of times of a couple summers, 2 or 3 summers, the band sets, like people started to like, they would catch on by the end of the day, you know, and let me say at this time, even though I was doing the party breaks, I was losing this hip hop to me. I was at Golden Age ended, and I was starting to lose this love for it. Puffy stuff was out, and it was all cool, and it was party stuff, but you know, if you grew up to me with On the Island, EPMD, De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, Public Enemy, you know, when you go to that next phase, it just didn't mean the same to me. Mm-hmm. So I really started gravitating towards house a lot more. And European out, whatever else stuff. So the point was is that I started opening up the playlist more there, had a flow, and the bands were going from 4 sets of 45 or an hour to 3 sets of 45 to 2 45s and a 30. You know, so by the last summer, it was like, I mean, people would be mad when the band would go on 30-minute sets and like yank them like, yo, we're gonna pull the band, are you ready to go? And I was like, yeah. And then I'm catching on like, okay, now I'm doing 8-9 hour days. I'm still getting the same gubbity money. Like, aren't you gonna pay me more? Like, oh yeah, we're gonna give you $100 more. I'm like, freaking how many pop bands for $1,000? Like, can't I get $200-300? You know what I mean? But I kept doing it because I thought like I liked what it was, and I think that was the thing is like building a you know, I think that will go back to residencies, which I think you guys believe in. Having a residency to me means everything because it was just so great to be there early, test records out early, you know, and stuff started to go. It all started to go at the same time with the radio station and spinning more, and other people picking me up, and then I was involved in the radio station, so I'm getting stuff ahead of time. I'm testing, like I tested out Touch Me First out there. Kismet sent it to Kinetic Records, which was Shaniza Mohammed. Rapture, Ministry of Sound UK brought that over there. My guy Seth, what's his name, brought it to the station. I had my sound guy in the middle of a break go in the room, burn it, copy it, bring it back, and I just played it every day at the end of the day at Neptune, and then on the radio. So I had the radio show too. Right. So like I'm doing the traffic jam every day, Monday through Thursday. And that was the great thing at that time because I feel like I was on the radio 4 times a week, playing into our area, hyping up records that I knew I was going to be playing on the weekend. Yep. You know, the owners didn't really know, they weren't, but it was like, it was just this great flow that was going on.
So you had this ultimate platform.
It seemed like that, and like I would do stuff for Z100 at the time. I was doing their Jingle Ball, Elvert Hammerstein beforehand. I would do their outside stuff. We had a cool relationship. My guys didn't care because, you know, one was Z100 and Darren Pfeffer and those guys. Right. You know, so I was kind of in the flow of doing a lot of stuff, and it was great because they would listen to us. Like Dive in the Pool, they always credit Party 105 for playing because how much we played it out there. But DJ Sammy Heaven, I remember Robbins gave me that record. I played it at their thing at some event, and Elvis Duran was like, what record is this? I'm like, isn't this great? It's a Bryan Adams cover. Like, you know, at the time you were playing stuff like that for those kind of crowds, but when you get it ahead of time, to me, when you could play a record ahead of time, it's not that corny if the record's like a popular record, if you could play it months before it even cracks, you know.
Yeah, because you're breaking it.
Yeah, because you're breaking records, so when, you know.
So Neptunes
Neptunes
built into a behemoth.
Yes. Yes.
And then
How
before
long were
you
you
know
there
it,
for?
I and my publicist pointed this out to me. She said that I had the longest running residency in America because I was there 16 summers as a house resident, 15 weeks in a row.
Wow.
So on the 16th summer was when I started taking off a little bit for the Nervous CDs. And then
That should be in the Guinness Book of World Records.
no, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, but the point was it was great. But I mean, I liked it a lot. But at the end, it started getting, you know, it's a shame. Like things got weird, and I felt the venue needed to put more money into itself, and I wasn't getting the money. I would, like, you know, to me, I'm doing a guest spot for 2 hours, getting a lot. Like my wife at the time was working there. She was actually bartending while she was going to grad school, and you know, she's coming home. You know, we're going home in the car together. And she's rolling home with more money than me. And it's like, you know, you're killing yourself. There's all this pressure. I got, you know, I just didn't get to go there and play. They would still, no matter how crazy it was, they were busting my chops for playing like, they wanted me to play like, yo, could you play Brown Eyed Girl? You know what I mean? And like, you know, like, how do you fit that in after Champion Castles in the Sky or something? Like, you know, you play in Moral Pacoda Lizard. When am I going to fit in like a...
And that stuff is happening more, it's happening more today.
More and more today,
Yes.
yeah.
But yeah, and I do feel bad for guys. But when you're a resident, though, you know that too. You can build a rapport with an ownership and say, yo, trust me. You know, look, I'll show you what I'm doing. And, you know, I think that's why things are the way they are. There's so many guys chirping in a guest DJ's ear or the promoters and stuff. They don't have any freedom. And some of these guys that need to be in front of things and change up their set and understand what that means, I don't think they get that power anymore. It's really, and then I can't believe, you know, like I have friends that work at these places, and I can't believe that what I got in '95 to DJ is the same money they're getting.
It's crazy.
Like $250 for to DJ somewhere? Like, you see how much milk is?
We got to talk to some of these promoters.
How do you still get paid? No,
We got some promoters here tonight.
No, you know, like but I feel like how
You
do
hear
be-
that, promoters?
No, but how do you become a professional? Like, but I guess that's what it is. Like everybody's doing this as a side project. But you know, like if you want
It's
to take
just
it
really
seriously,
saturated.
yeah,
man.
but
And there's always
there's
some-
cream will always rise though, right?
See, they're not hiring DJs anymore for who you are. You can, someone can do exactly what we do. You know, so, and someone is
But
gonna
don't you
come
walk
in
into these
cheaper.
places and don't see that vibe? Like, I mean, I'll walk into places where I see a DJ and I kind of know, okay, the kid's on a MIDI controller. He's kind of just winging through it. He's not taking it seriously because the pressure's not in there for the money. So when the pressure's gone, same with a promoter that pays you. Like, once I have a friend who worked at Arista, and he's like, you want to make more money? You know, like, you're starting to get some heat and everything. Like, you're going to have to lose money before you make money. And I didn't know what he meant. And then I was like, oh, like, I started holding out on gigs and like waiting to get paid. And, you know, things got rough. Like, I was like collecting change in the winter. And, when you know it's rough, it's rough. And like, but that whole winter or spring into the summer when I knew I had, the summer and the Hamptons and stuff coming along and the Dublin spot, I was like, my money went up. And he was right, like holding back, because to jump from like the 500 to like the 750 was a big deal, or 400 to 750. Then that jump from 750 to 1,000, 1,200 was a big jump.
Yeah.
But then that, and guys were telling me that 1,000, 1,200 to the 3,000, that was like, that was the big jump you wanted to make at that time. You know what I mean? And you had to like just hold back. You know what I mean? And do stuff. You had to keep doing stuff. So I mean, now you got to do everything, right?
Yeah. Well, that's just the nature of the beast.
Which is fine though. I mean, like you can't complain about it. Like look at any guy that's relative. Your guy that has a lawn mowing business, works more, does more, cuts, does edging more, stuff you used to, everybody's including more stuff. My guys that, do knee parts, they are working, 7 days a week now. So everybody's got to work more. I get the relativeness of this, but.
So Neptunes created a platform for you, but it also opened up these doors where you played a bunch of other places.
Yeah.
Right? So you had a residency at Pasha for a
Yeah,
while?
I had a residency at Pasha.
So you did
Zev
Pasha.
Naratsky actually helped bring me in there because he was like, yo, Rob and these guys, you got to try Theo out. And that's when I first DJ'd there when they opened, not the first week or the second week. It's like when Carl Cox was there. But I DJ'd downstairs in the basement, and it was a rug. The lights barely dimmed. You know what I mean? It was this like hokey kind of setup. But I was honored just to be in there because I knew what Pacha meant around the world. And I was like, this could be something. And Rob was like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, God rest his soul, But Rob, it's funny because I think back of those days of Pacha, and that's when I just started working with Nervous, and I was trying to sell Rob on the old moonshine parties. You know how like a record label could do like a party and their DJs could DJ. And I'm like, yo, I want to get Mike to do this thing. I got these CDs coming out. We have Tom Steffen on label and Oscar G. And, you know, we could do these like Nervous parties. And he's like, yeah, Mike Weiss doesn't want to do that stuff. But, you know, we started doing them. I was also down in Miami. Serge, you know Serge, VIP guy? Look cool guy. Antonio, who's Serge? You know Serge? Yeah, you know Serge. Yeah, but Serge was running the club next to Space Miami, and we started doing then the Nervous parties down there, because I was a resident over the winter. I'd fly down to Miami and do like 4 or 5 dates over the winter, and then I was like selling Mike on, yo, let's do this Nervous thing down in Miami. Let's do a Nervous party, because we started doing some up here.
Sure.
And then he did, and obviously now Mike's making a ton of money doing the Nervous parties. But I don't know. It seemed like it was a community. Like I guess I always feel that it's better more in numbers kind of thing. I mean, you guys see that, right? Like, it seems like it's kind of weird right now. To me, it is, I guess.
So you played alternative, you played
Yeah.
hip hop. What are you playing now?
So right now, I would say I still, when I play like Theo by myself, I still play like.
Better a question. What are you going to play for us tonight?
Yeah, tonight I'm gonna play. I'm gonna like you were talking about some records. I'm gonna play some records I don't get to play, like because I never get to go on earlier.
Yep.
So some cool, couple deep house records. I'm gonna play, since I have like classics coming up soon. I'm gonna do a big classics party. There's some classics I don't get to always get to. Some dope things like some Sandy Rivera type stuff. So I'm gonna play a couple of those. And then I also, besides everything else I do, I have 2 labels with my partner Gabe Ramos,
Yep.
and we DJ together as Theo and Gabe Ramos. So I have a couple like tribal tech records that we made, and I'm gonna play those.
Okay.
And that's it.
And you're also, so you play quite frequently out on the island.
Yeah.
Right? So what are some of the parties that you're playing? out there?
Right now, I'm over at summertime. I'm going to be at the Nautical Miles, like a happening area by me.
Yeah.
And this year I have a residency over at Tropics. So, not a residency, I have parties I have booked there at Tropics. So
Yeah.
I'm going to be at Tropics this year. I have been. And then I'm going to be at Flynn's and Fire Island, which I've built the thing over there. We bring sound and everything. And I'm going to be out in the Hamptons. I was already at Dream, but I'm going to be out there again. And then I do Body English. You guys heard of that party? Those
sure.
guys.
Tuesday, right?
night.
Yeah, so they've never had, they started doing, they don't let them do house DJs there and stuff, but this year they asked me to come there, so I got rained out the first week, not my fault, but I'm going to be doing that in August, so.
All right.
And,
Cool.
yeah.
Well, we're excited to have you here. Thank
No,
you
I'm
for
so,
coming down.
thanks guys, sorry, we talked so
No,
much.
no. Well,
We gotta
it's
do these things.
so
There's so much
easy.
stuff.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Like everybody who comes on the show and they sit down at the couch, I mean, we could go through.
We just went through 35 minutes.
I
like
can't believe
this.
it, yeah, I didn't even realize.
You know what I'm
it.
saying?
Yeah.
So
we
it's
don't want
fast.
to waste any more time.
Yeah, no, of
But
course.
listen, we're happy that you're here.
No, I appreciate it, thank you so much.
We're very happy to hear your story.
Thank you for letting me tell my long-winded story.
And we're excited to hear you play.
Thanks.
So
I'm looking
we
forward
want to
to
get
it.
you on the decks, Theo.
I gotta
thank
get you
for
guys
coming
in the
down.
mix, right? We gotta get you guys out by us.
Yeah, maybe.
We haven't done any
maybe.
Long Island runs. We gotta get a little.
I was in Savannah a couple times.
Oh yeah, I'm not there anymore. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I don't
good
think
stuff.
I've ever actually played out in Long Island.
Zachary's back.
Yeah?
Queens is my furthest.
Chelsea
You
Street.
might have to line
Bobby
that up now.
Goodrich.
See, now you guys said that. We have to line it up.
We'll see,
You guys know
man.
all the promoters, right? You should,
We
you should have
do.
that guy Fuccio book you or something.
Yeah, he doesn't pay good enough.
Ah. Jonesy
He's
will
still
bring the
paying
crowd.
$250 like they were paying in 1991.
Shout out to my boy Casey Anderson. Actually, going to try and play one of his.
All right, we're
records.
going to take a 2-minute break. We're going to get Theo up on the turntables. Pioneer CDJs.
Peace.